Quran chapter 29 verse 64 says, "And this worldly life is not but diversion and amusement, and indeed the home of the hereafter, that is the eternal life, if only they knew." Quran chapter 87 verse 16 and 17 say, "But you prefer the worldly life, while the hereafter is better and more enduring." Muslims often claim that atheism will lead you to nihilism. The argument being that one can't value life if there is an end to life. Obviously, that's stupid. We tend to value things that are limited more. But I want to argue that it is Islam that leads you to nihilism. What can devalue life more than the idea that there is another infinite life with unimaginable potential for happiness? The most deceptive form of nihilism is one that gives you a fake replacement for this life, something much greater. I like to call this sneaky nihilism or deceptive nihilism, because it devalues this life, but with the excuse of valuing a much more important life. Since that life doesn't exist, it ends up just devaluing life. That is nihilism. This is why we call Islam a death cult. This is why Muslims often tell you that they love death more than you love life. This is why many Muslim mothers celebrate the death of their children in war. This is why Islam is the motherlode of bad ideas. If you think Islam is not a death cult, then call in and tell us why, because the show starts right now. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another show. Today is July 21st, 2024. I am your host, Armin Navabi, and joining me today is JMike. I miss having a show with you.
Yeah, it's been like months, right? It's been a long time. Yeah, I think we switched roles now. I don't remember. I don't know if I hosted last time or if you hosted, but I'm just gonna say that it was me and then you, and now we're flipping roles. You can judge me as a co-host, and I'll judge you as a host. How about that?
How am I doing so far? How am I doing so far?
Great. I watched you go over that cold open for a while, and you were like, I saw you mouthing it with your mic muted and stuff. So once you nailed it, I was like, my boy got it.
Do you think it was too harsh? I thought, like, I'm gonna get kicked out of this show. Every time they give me a cold open, I'm making it harsher than the last time. At some point, it's gonna get so radical. They're like, I mean, we can't have you anymore on this show. What do you think? Was it fair? Was it a fair?
If by harsh you mean necessary, then yeah, But I think it's something that's necessary. It's the term. That's a term usage I would use.
That's good. Okay, yeah. Well, I appreciate that. All right, so I have to tell you this, that the Atheist Experience is a product of the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. All good things, right? So, and we need to get to the question of the week. So before we get started, let me share your experiences. What was the question of the week last time? So last week we asked you, what commandment got left on the cutting room floor? Oh, that's a fun one. Here are 3 of your favorites. By the way, I remember there was 5 that was missed out. Didn't Moses break 5 of them? He had 15. And then he dropped one of them and they broke, so it ended up being... So this is actually supposed to be a joke, but it's actually closer to what Jews and Christians actually believe than you might think. So the number 3 comes from Josh. The answer was, missing commandment was, don't spam atheist channels with Bible verses. Yes, how does that supposed to work? I never understand it. Both Muslims and Christians, they give you Bible, they just repeat Bible verses, and it's supposed to work. I think they think it works like magic, like a spell. Like if you just repeat it enough times, it will work. It will just pile up together, and then we will just convert under the weight of all the Bible verses that we have been hearing all our lives. So Number 2 comes from RC Blazer. The commandment that got cut was, "Thou shalt not giveth the runaround when asked to give proof of the Lord's existence." That's a very good command. Actually, I'm in favor of this one. All right, so number 1 answer from QC. What commandment got cut off on the cutting room floor? "Thou shalt not post comments on an atheist YouTube channel belly aching about pronouns." That's also a good. I mean, what is that supposed to do on an atheist channel? I don't understand. That's also a good commandment. These are all good. These are all good commandments. So let's see what we have for this week. What's the question of this week? Okay, so this is what we have. What to say in a confessional just to fuck with the priest? Oh, we can say that on YouTube? Okay, we're going to get demonetized. Guys, please like the stream because we're going to get demonetized. And that's going to de-emphasize because I used the F word. And your likes could undo the deprioritization on the algorithm. So please go ahead and like the stream. All right, so what do you think, JMike? How do you answer that?
I don't know, like something maybe like... you just go in there and you're like, well, I've been told by everybody that being gay is like a choice. So I tried it out. And it was awesome. It was fantastic. I just love life so much more than I did before. I'm just going to go to all the parades. I think that would just be epic. So epic to do. Like, my life has just dramatically improved.
I would use this as an opportunity to do a debate with the priest. I would be like, Father, I've been having doubts, and these are the reasons why I'm having doubts. And I would just go through all the arguments against religion, trying to make the priest into an atheist. How about that? Yeah. I don't know. That would be annoying. It would either work, it would be very annoying. Win-win for me. All right, so guys, send us your answers in the comments, and we'll see who's the host for the next stream. They will pick the best ones, and they will read them for you. All right, so we have callers. Let's go to the callers. Also, let me make sure that I'm paying attention to the super chats. Yeah, guys, leave those. Okay, guys, by the way, your super chats are now being highlighted twice. Once when you do the super chat, and the second time when I'm reading them. So that's twice the motivation, double the motivation for you to give super chats. Okay, so go ahead and do that. So let's see which caller. Do you want to pick the first caller? Like, do you have any favorites today, JMike? Do you want to? Should we go with Chris?
Yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool with whatever. Whichever one you steer the boat, baby.
Okay. I was just trying to involve you. Okay, let's go with Chris. So. That's Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hello? Yes.
Yes, so Chris, I see. Good. Go ahead. We're listening.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
So I've been watching you. You can hear me?
Yes, there's a delay.
Hello? Hello, you can hear me?
Yes, just start.
Yes, we can hear you.
You don't have to ask. You don't have to ask 6 times. You can just start going.
Yeah, I assume that there's a delay.
Yeah, I apologize. The first time I've ever called you guys or talked to someone, right? And I hope I can watch this later on again. I've been watching you guys for a while. Not you guys particularly, because when I watch YouTube, I just kind of watch and I listen to what are being said and everything. But I believe you two guys are atheists, correct?
Yes.
Yes. You can tell by the name of the show.
So my question, yes, definitely. So my question is there any chance God will come down and prove to you guys that He's God, that you guys will change your belief?
Is there a chance that will happen?
There's a chance for almost anything. Okay, so but I don't understand the question. Is there?
But not for anything. But you guys, like you personally, is because the impression I'm getting from the show, and it's not negative. It's not negative, right? But it's just me. Maybe I have the wrong impression. But my impression is more like whenever somebody called, and then I'm not trying to change you guys to believing in God or anything. That's not the purpose of my call or anything. Right, but my impression is like more like somebody will call who believe in God, and you guys are always looking for proof, right? Like some kind of a hard proof kind of thing, right?
No, I'm not looking for proof. But no, I'm looking for reasons that people believe and assessing whether or not those are good reasons. That's the bare minimum I want them to be met.
Chris, your question is that if God comes and reveals himself to us, will we then believe in God? Is that what your question is?
Yes. Is there a miracle that he can do? Is there something he can say? You know, he can show something or something, do something to you guys and say now, oh, you know what, I've been wrong. Whenever you guys decided to be atheist, either.
Okay, Chris, let me ask you a question. If somebody comes and does something extraordinary, something that seems to be violating the laws of physics and all known science, right? And I see that, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell, what's happening here, all right? And let's say it's very impressive. Let's say, for example, somebody comes and says, hey, I'm Armin, you don't believe in God, I'm God, okay? And to prove it, I'm gonna move the stars and I'm gonna write your name in the sky with the stars. And he does that and I see it. And I also verify it with other, so I'm not imagining things. Like this goes on for 2 years. And for 2 years, my name is still up in the sky. And everybody else is saying the scientific community is like checking this, like people don't know what's going on, and everybody is like verifying that, yeah, the stars say Armin. So if that happens, you think at that point I should believe in God, for example? Do you think I should believe in God if that happens?
No.
Okay.
That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is there anything that a God will be able to do if he does come down to you personally, and you're also your host. It will be different, of course. That will make you say, yes, I believe in God. It doesn't have to be specific.
That's exactly what I just said. It's like, hey, that's exactly what I just said. You're saying like, no, that's not what I mean, and then you repeated something that covers my example.
Okay. I apologize. Will that make you believe in God? The sample that you gave?
Well, okay, so if God, you're assuming that there is a God. If something that we haven't yet verified that is God comes and tells me that he is God, well, I will not believe in God because we haven't yet verified. When you say if God comes and talks to you, that question has the assumption in it that this thing is God. But we haven't verified that yet. As somebody who doesn't believe in God, if an entity is communicating with me with the claim that it is God, I have to find a way to verify that that's true. Do you agree? You cannot just assume that God is talking to me. Something is talking to me.
What verification are you looking for? What verification are you looking for then?
Why are you asking me? That entity is a God. Why are you asking me? I'm not, whatever that shows that thing is God.
Yeah, like, look, there's one. I was just saying, there's just one kind of issue that Armin's about to touch on here is that, one, I think this whole thing is kind of silly, right? Like arranging the stars and it says Jesus saves or any of that kind of stuff. I don't think I live in that type of world, right? Like as a naturalist, that's just out of the cards for me. So like stipulating that type of hypothetical might be like interesting around a bong or something, but like I don't really find it, like it just seems to assume a view that I don't hold. And I think a more interesting question is, if you or a question, but a statement is that if that God, is omniscient, it's all powerful, it knows exactly what it could do to convince you. It knows if it leaves a sign for you as you walk by and you pass it and you don't recognize that that's from God, it would know ahead of time before it placed the sign that sign's going to fail, right? And so if really, I think what's more of an interesting question is on the level of the play of cognition here, right? If there's a being that knows precisely what's going to take to convince me and then leaves signs and I walk past them, I don't know how I'm culpable. It's just demonstrating it didn't know what it would take to convince me at all. Right. I mean, what do you think about it on that perspective that, maybe my cognitive abilities are limited and maybe I don't even recognize God when he's in my face. But under your view, this is God. Wouldn't God know exactly what to do to like make the confusion go away, to make me go, oh, holy shit, this is God?
That's the assumption that that's how God works.
Well, it's not an assumption if
we've been hearing from people.
Do you affirm those omni properties? Do you affirm those omni properties? Do you affirm those omni properties?
I apologize.
Do you affirm the omni properties?
I don't know. I
think you have to explain the three omni.
Omnipotent, omniscient,
that God is all powerful, all knowing, and all merciful?
Do I believe in that?
Yes. That's the question.
No. It doesn't really matter for me whether he's that or not.
Okay, well then it's not even clear to me that like like when you talk about God and you use that utterance, I don't even like know what because the only way that I'm tracking that concept is a mind that exists alone and it decides at some point to create an external world, right? Now if that's the bare minimum notion that you got, that's fine. But like, you know, if you have these omni properties, or if you have a being that knows like the content of my brain, right, knows things that will convince me and won't convince me, whether that goes to all powerful or whatever. Right. If it has that possession, then it just seems like the culpability isn't on my point or on my level. It seems like what could be done is to provide the test that will go, oh, OK, yeah, Mike will actually recognize that. He won't recognize X, Y, and Z as a sign for me, but he will, however, recognize A, B, and C. So let me put A, B, and C down. Right. But if you have some other view where it's just like something's trying to convince me and it can't do its best to convince me, and I'm really struggling to figure out if this is it, I just don't see what it helps to go. What would convince you of a proposition that you don't believe in? I'm waiting for theists to help me out here with this question, right? I've not been a theist. So like, you know, if you genuinely wanted me to believe in God, it seemed like it'd be better for you to offer me reasons as opposed to me just sit there and be like, oh, okay, well, what would make me believe in like electrons doing whatever? Like, I just don't think people sit down and think that, right? They're presented something and then reasons to believe it.
So, Jim, the reason why I was giving that hypothetical, wait, hold on one second, Chris. The reason why I was giving that hypothetical is to show that this is something that you have to argue rationally, because there's no miracle that could prove. Because if you believe in God as something, a conscious being that created the world, that could do anything, then there is no miracle that would justify that belief, because whatever I see could be in a world that such violations of physical laws and scientific claims exist, then anything I see could be something other than the creator of the universe. I cannot trust my experiences anymore. So that's why I wanted to push all of that aside, because that's not how you are able to prove God. You can never connect any miracle, even if there were miracles, and there are none, but even if there were, there's no connection between that and the existence of a God. That was the point I was trying to make. But if you shouldn't be even asking us, what do you have to show us for us to believe in God, or what arguments you have to make? You're making the claim. I think this is a very lame attempt for people to shift the burden of proof. Somebody has a claim and they're like, okay, here's a claim. Okay, I see your claim. Why do you believe in it? Why do you believe in this claim A, for example? And then instead of providing us anything for us to believe in the claim, you're asking us what it takes us for us to believe in the claim. Why are you even asking us that? You're coming here with the claim. I think this is a desperate attempt at shifting the burden of proof. I don't know if you agree with this, but go on, Chris.
You know, like I said, I'm not trying to change your belief. Right, I think
we're not saying. Chris, can you stop? Chris.
Stop the meta.
Can you stop saying? Can you stop saying that? I don't care. Like, you could say stuff that I disagree with or I find ridiculous, even if you're not trying to change our belief. I'm not claiming that. Did I ever say like, hey? First of all, this whole show is about people calling us to try to change your beliefs. You keep saying that as if we're supposed to be offended by somebody trying to change your beliefs. The whole point of this show is people calling us to try to change your beliefs. So I don't know why you keep saying that as if that's like, hey guys, don't be upset with me and don't be angry with me. I'm not trying to change your beliefs. We don't care. Just make your point. What do you understand that the question is irrelevant? Asking that question to atheists is just a misdirection. It doesn't. You shouldn't be even asking us that. Anybody who's making the claim, they should come with the reasons why we should believe in that claim. Asking the person who hasn't yet believed in that for the arguments that will make them believe, or for the evidence that makes them believe, is ridiculous. The person who's making the claim, all the responsibility lies on their shoulders. But go on, Chris.
That's okay. That's okay. It's not like there's a procedure for this, right? It's not like there's rules that I'm supposed to follow when I call you guys, and I'm supposed to ask you guys the right question as the right way.
I'm not. Stop at the meta. Just stop at the meta. Can we just get into the content? Just get with the content. I don't care about the meta, like about us and all that.
You put out all of this. You said all of this stuff about me as if I'm not. I have the impression that I shouldn't have asked that question.
No, look, it's not that. It's that
you just did it, right? That's what you just
did.
If
Stop. I'm gonna mute you. Right, just wait. Right, look. The issue is like when you propose that issue to me, I'm a naturalist. So you ask something that like presupposes the falsity of my view. It's like a God comes down. Well, I don't think that stars are going to get rearranged. I don't think anything like that. I don't think that the world has that in the cards, right? So what you could do rather than me speculate what might potentially convince me and not, which by the way, I know things that would convince me on theism. I don't know what would convince me that a God came in front of me, right? Separate questions. I know what would convince me on theism potentially, at least bare minimum, is showing that the commitment of theism, the commitment to God is required in order to explain the world around us, that it gets more explanatory power and breadth and depth and scope than something like naturalism or some view that does not have a God in it, right? That would convince me if it showed that you get an inadequate explanation under naturalism, but you get a sufficient explanation under that. That'd be great. But that's not going to, like, if I'm a naturalist and you can come to me and you can give me some reasons to come to theism, I don't know what the fuck speculating about like what I'm going to think about the stars in the sky or someone comes in front of me. I have weird ass dreams all the time. It might just be something where, oh, it seemed like God revealed himself to me and I just like feel like I wake up and move the fuck on like I've done with every other veridical type of experience or hallucinogenic experience or whatever experience. So rather than doing that whole thing, do you have anything of like substance that would convince me? If not, I feel like we should just move on to other callers. I'm not interested in this like hypothetical game of like, you know, if God came in front of me. Well, I don't live in a world where God comes in front of people, right? So why should I entertain it?
About the stars.
It doesn't. Do you live in a world where the stars are rearranged into letters that everybody can read saying God exists? Do you live in that world, sir?
I think he just hung up. I don't know who's.
Right, I just find it silly. Right. I don't live in a world where stars are being rearranged in that way. If it happened, I don't really know what I would think. You know what I think we should do? The first thing I would say is check the water supply. See if someone dropped acid in the water supply. That's the first thing I would do. Right? I wouldn't go, oh, supernatural thing. You investigate, right? But rather, if you just have some substance, you just provide it. You just give it to me. You can get me to theism a lot quicker, right? But if you just don't have that substance, then I guess why it seems, you know, makes sense why you're reserving it.
So I agree with you that we don't live in that world, and but even if we did, and I know it's like pointless to exercise that thought experiment because we don't live in that world. But my point is that even if we did, it still doesn't show anything about God. Like, is that not a point worth of making? Don't you think? Like, because the only thing, let's say, for example, it wasn't hallucination. It was real. The stars were rearranged. Don't you agree that all I will know based on that is that, I don't know, stars can be arranged. It doesn't show me that there's a God. It doesn't tell me anything about God. It doesn't even begin to tell me anything about whether there's a God. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, well, it's like, yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's not interesting to go, if God existed, would like God exist? That's just what it seems like it's being presented. And then the leftover question is like, well, would you be convinced of that hypothetical scenario? I don't really know. I don't exist in it. So I have no idea what I would think. I might be like the best theist in the world after that. I have no idea. But I live in this world. And this world can involve you convincing me. Right?
Yeah, but I can imagine myself living in a different world, and I could tell you that in that world, I would not be convinced that there is a God. I would just be convinced that the world is more mysterious than I thought. That's all I would be convinced of, not of a God. I would still remain an atheist in that world. Okay, let's go to the next caller. Okay, let's talk to Steve. Hi, Steve.
Yeah. Hi, Armin. I called about a month ago, and we had discussed the simulation theory, and you were pretty adamant that it was a non-falsifiable theory. And since then, I have read about a proposed experiment to test the simulation hypothesis.
Okay, so yeah, what, JMike, do you want?
No, I just testing that. It sounded like an odd sentence. Testing the simulation hypothesis.
Yeah, but why does it even matter? It's like pragmatically, it doesn't make any difference from the world that we live in, whether we're base reality or not. But sure, go ahead, I guess. I mean, here, let me before you go ahead. Even if there was such a thing, if we lived in a simulation, could they not just delete that memory of it or just replace it with something else? Like what? I mean. Like I'm
interested. I'm interested in hearing this just because, I think that there's things that rule this out from being a hypothesis at all.
A good idea to even test the simulation, if we even want to know if
we're explain it simulated.
But in theory, how the simulation could be tested is in theory, stable elementary particles contain. Stable elementary particles, excluding massless particles, contain bits of information serving as programming code simulating the particle's charge, mass, and spin. And there's roughly 10 to the negative 21 joules of heat dissipated per erased bit from a computer. Likewise, this discrete amount of energy should be dissipated if a bit of information were deleted from an encoded particle. And of the various fundamental particles of mass stable enough to have information storage capacity, there are electrons as well as the up quarks and down quarks.
You're losing me rapidly. You're saying a lot of stuff that I don't understand. I don't know. I have no idea. Right? Is there any way you can give me something that I can chew on? I can't chew and digest any of this.
Well, the gist of it is if you were to take a particle, an electron,
you're just going to say more gibberish.
You were to just
okay. No, stop. Okay, hold on. No, I don't want to listen to more of this. Here's the thing. Okay, the way that our universe works, right? When it comes to when you go subatomic, that's a whole mysterious world, and you could treat information that you get from there, like you could see the similarity between the data that you get in computer science and that similarity. If you're using that similarity, any similarity that you could, loosely make for that to be the evidence of this being a simulation, that doesn't work. And again, the mysterious nature, just because a lot of us find the way that the subatomic world works kind of mysterious and mind-boggling, has given a lot of people license to connect that to a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo without making any solid cases for their claim. So I don't buy any of this. So in computer science, we have data. In nature, we have information that could be that have some similarity with how data processing and storage of data works, and that's it. And any similarity, you trying to connect that and using that as proof that this is a simulation is stretching it, to say the least. But anyway, JMike, do you want to say something about this?
I want to hear Steve respond to what you said, and then I'll say something.
Okay. Well, if there's a proposed experiment by Dr. Melvin Vopson, and he's doing a fundraiser to test the hypothesis if we're in a simulation, and his experiment would involve taking an electron and annihilating it with a positron, and then according to his prediction, there should be a couple of infrared photons released. And if that's the case, then this would seem to indicate, it's not proof, but it would seem to indicate that there are bits of information stored within.
I don't really get though, how, because this doesn't sound like a scientific hypothesis. This sounds like what metaphysicians do about the way that the world actually is, it's mental substance or it's physical substance, right? Science isn't being everything's we use terms like physics, but it's not like they're making metaphysical claims everything is this substance metaphysically, right? We're just talking about descriptions, behaviors of the world, how things operate. We're not going on this super, which I'm very skeptical of in the first place, this metaphysical project. It seems like simulation theory it doesn't, I don't know, maybe scold me in the comments, everybody. It just doesn't seem like a scientific hypothesis. It seems like a metaphysical story, or else I'll say hypothesis, that, which I'm okay with. Like, look, I'm a naturalist. That's a metaphysical view, right? But I'm very skeptical about what metaphysicians do and how we can get these claims. Like, I think we're pretty much up shit's creek without a paddle on this. Our best thing that we can do is treat these kind of these views on metaphysics kind of like hypotheses, in the sense that we should compare them for the relative commitments that you have to put into the theory or the hypothesis. I'm using those terms very loosely, versus the explanatory benefit that you get out of them, right? If me and Armin have a hypothesis and he's making novel predictions and I'm making novel predictions and we get the same one, but I have like 3 more things in my hypothesis that I'm postulating than him, he's just going to point out to me, what reason do you have those 3 extra things? Like, I got the same results. I'm making the same predictions. I'm doing all of this stuff. Why do you have those 3 extra things? Well, I have no reason, because it serves no explanatory benefit. And this is the problem I see on the simulation thing. Maybe on simplicity of my view and your view, it's there. Maybe we don't have like very much more commitments. Maybe we do. But on an explanatory power, I don't see how this theory can give contrastive explanatory facts. Like, why is the simulator simulating this experience or giving you these mental representations rather than any other mental representation, right? Like, why are you seeing a clown in the tree, rather than no clown in the tree, right? Why is that being presented to you? Now, under some view like mine, like identity theory, where I think the brain just is the mind, right? Those are just the same thing. Under my view, I get contrastive explanations, because I can explain to you why I see a tree rather than a bush, or why there's a clown in the bush if I have schizophrenia or something that affects my cognitive abilities or makes me hallucinate, right? I can explain exactly why, given the external phenomena and what's going on in my brain, that I have contrastive explanations on why somebody is experiencing a tree, why I move my head to the right and I see a drum set, because there's actually a drum set there. It's in the external world, and I'm having real brain processes. I get a full explanation on why I see these objects. But under this view and simulation theory, you can't explain why you get one mental representation of a clown in a bush as opposed to a TV. Because it's not as if like the external world of the TV is there. You're just like, it's presumably you're having some like mental representation of it, right? Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's also external, but you can't get the explanation of why that's simulated rather than anything else. You can't get the explanation why you experience that thing rather than anything else. And I find that problematic if this is a quote unquote metaphysical thesis, that you're not going to give contrastive explanations. Like, say someone in my view where like identity theory, that we really have brains and there really is an external world, and I get a full explanation why I see certain objects. In fact, I can explain to you every time my head moves and a new object comes in my field of vision, I'm going to give a contrastive explanation, whereas like idealism and simulation theory are not going to be able to do that. But I was long-winded, but I'm wondering what you think about the inability for this thesis to give contrastive explanations.
Well, I mean, you're right in that there's no way to know what's outside the simulation and why, maybe we're ancestral, maybe we're the simulated ancestors of some futuristic human generation. I mean, there's just no way to know why this is happening, but there is a way that it can be tested if the universe is simulated. But there is a paper on this by a renowned physicist, Dr. Melvin Gibson. You can look this up online. You can.
No, I know, but I'm not really as. I mean,
crackpot.
No, I'm not trying to. Like, I don't think people that hold this view are my contention. I could be wrong. I don't look into this at all. I don't view this like as a scientific hypothesis. Like, I mean, I don't look into this a lot, so I don't know what's being said in this landscape. But prima facie, just on first glance, when I look at this, it sounds like we're talking about the way the world actually is, like, overall, beyond just like the physics that me and you have available to us, right? The metaphysics. I'm skeptical of that project, and the only thing in my head that I can go, okay, well, how can we assess which theory is better? And right now I'm comparing the simulation theory to like something like mind-brain identity theory, where there's really a brain, there's really the brain is the mind, and there really is an external world. And my issue is that, like, if we've left the scientific kind of realm and we're really in a metaphysical hypothesis, really the only thing I think we have is trying to give the commitments we have and the explanatory power we get out of that. And there's no explanatory power when you can't explain why you have some mental representation A as opposed to some mental representation B, right? Whereas in my view, I can explain that. There's actually a tree there. My brain is actually processing it. The person who is hallucinating because they took acid is seeing a clown in the bush because they took some actual drug. And now it's causing them to see something. And that explains the contrast effect, why we're looking at the same object and why they see something different. That doesn't seem available like on the simulation hypothesis, or even if it is, you're just going to have to say, well, all that stuff is simulated and back this up into this really unfalsifiable hypothesis in the first place. So those two options just don't seem very favorable for this thesis, in my opinion.
So I think what Steve is saying, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, is that when it comes to this world, yes, you're right. Your theory does a much better job explaining things. But when there are certain events within the subatomic, world, in the quantum world, that there's certain things that we see that could be best explained with us being in a simulation. Is that what you're saying, Steve? Did I got it?
I think, I would pretty much agree with that. Okay.
Okay, so the problem with that is that when it comes to experiments like these, and I have seen so many people making that claim, and yes, there are, I'm not saying these are YouTubers or just random bloggers. These are, people, scientists, and people that are educated and stuff. But the problem I noticed with, the people who have a problem with these hypotheses are that they treat it like it's a false dilemma. Like if I don't see this, then it must be a simulation. Like as if we understand that world entirely, and the only thing that it could explain the results that I haven't gotten would be for us to be in a simulation. As if there's only two options. But that world is like we haven't. That world as if there are many different other things. Like we don't that's a whole mystery box there. It could be A or it could be B. So you expected A. The result shows not A. Not A does not mean B. Not A could mean B, C, D, E, and if there's so many other things that we haven't even begin to understand that could explain why we didn't get the results that we were expecting. And another problem I have with this is that so many people just talk about like, oh, this is like data here, this is like information here, these look like bits here. But this was always like nature was always like this. All the information that you get from nature could be seen as data, and all the change in the information that you get from nature could be seen as processing. Like even without going like this is what do you understand what I'm saying? Like if you keep trying to say like, oh, this experiment here makes it look like this could only be explained if this is like a computer model. Well, why? What isn't information? Even before we go into the quantum realm, don't you see that every process, every single like force that goes in one direction, every spin of an electron in one direction, every amount of energy in this, all of this could be seen as information, and all of it could be seen as processing. And any relationship that we make to that, from that to computer science is just a loose attempt of looking at things from a human perspective. Like we have a human-centric perspective of the universe, and everything that we see, we tend to love to make it seem like nature is copying us rather than us copying nature. This is just an extension of looking at Earth at the center, looking at Earth being at the center of the universe, or giving human-like characteristics to gods. Now that we're getting into the quantum realm, we are trying to do the exact same thing, looking at that and seeing similarities between that and what humans have made in computers, and thinking like, well, I see similarities here, so this must be the same thing. This is, I think, just a continuation of that same like ancient tradition.
Yeah, I mean, if
does that make sense?
If there are bits if there are bits of information included in particles, it could be, doesn't necessarily mean that's there because the universe is simulated. But I think that would be an indication of plausible explanation. But you're right. I mean, there could certainly be some other naturalistic explanation.
It seems like an extra you can slice it different ways, but I don't know, it just seems like an unnecessary commitment. Like, you get all of the explanatory power not having this huge philosophical cost of I'm going to go into the store and buy simulation theory and walk out. I don't think you're getting anything out when you come out of the store. When you purchase that, you're not getting any product. In other words, when you make that commitment, you're not getting on the back end some explanatory virtue out of it. Because if I can explain all of this, is a huge chunk of why I'm a naturalist, is that when I look at these views on God or simulation theory or whatever, that it ends up depending on the person you're talking to, they have this really high commitment, God or simulation theory. And presumably we should buy into that if and only if it does the job it's supposed to do in explaining the world around you, not just equally good. Not like you can just give me a story that okay, that's fine. But you can give an account that without those things, you would have an inadequate explanatory account. My account of naturalism would be inadequate to a theist if they could show this. And I guess the problem I have is it's I don't even know how we go about falsifying this. It seems like for anything I say, even the whole last ramble I went about mind-brain identity, you can just kind of stick the simulation on it. You can do whatever you want and just go, well, yeah, that's part of kind of the theory as well. But then it's okay, so what's this extra commitment doing? Why can't we just suppose mind-brain identity and that there is an external world and that, we don't need this extra thing of this whole other realm, of something creating it. That's a huge cost to pay. I don't know. I'm in the project of limiting the amount of commitments I can. If I had a slogan, my slogan would be, I want to limit the amount of commitments I have, ontological, metaphysical, whatever. I want to limit those with the back end of getting explanatory virtue out of the commitments I do have. I will add more commitments if they're necessary. And I just don't see that this hypothesis is necessary. It sounds just an unnecessary commitment.
And Steve, I'm going to let you go because you also have acknowledged yourself that the things that you observe does not necessarily have to be explained by a simulation. They could have completely other explanations. So I think that's basically, we agree on that. So I'm going to, which is So. Okay, so before we go to the next caller, which I see a call from India, so please don't go away. This is a very good call from Saran, so don't go away while I read some super chats and also some announcements. So announcements, it's time for our annual Bat Cruise fundraiser. Join us on August 24th with Forrest Valkai, JMike, Secular Rarity, and JMike, Secular Rarity, and many other familiar faces that will be attending. Get more information and buy your tickets at tiny.cc/batcruise. And let me do some super chats. I saw some super chats that were.
I wanted to say guilt Armin into flying out, but I can't say that. That's so unfair to you. It's so unfair.
Thank you for not doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the first super chat from Jonathan, the $5 super chat saying, Armin Navabi and JMike? Question mark. More like Armin. What? Armin's dangerous. What is that? I don't understand.
Armin D dangerous and J Mighty Morphin. Wow. Ranger. Wow. Sorry, I can't read. That's my bad. This is the best I can do. Is JMike doesn't rhyme with Aristotle. That's great.
All right. Sorry, I butchered
Thank you, Jonathan.
Yes, and then Jonathan again with another $5 super chat saying, wait, I figured it out. More like Armin D Dangerous and J Lightning, right? It's Morphin time. Okay. All right. I don't get these references, but okay. Well, thank you for the super chat.
I do get the references, but I don't know. I won't say anything just for, IP purposes.
All right. Well, I'm sure they're very good. Rainbow Wolf with the $5 super chat saying, hi, Annie. A God that doesn't exist cannot create cause or explain anything. First, summon and demonstrate your God, then we can talk about what it does. Is Rainbow Wolf talking to somebody else with the super chat? Is that what's happening?
I think this was relating to the call.
But that person's name was not Annie. That's why I'm confused.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see what you're looking at. I see what you're looking at, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for the super chat. Kelly, no, that's just Kelly. That's not a super chat. We have membership. Quantum Answer member for 2 years, gifted 20 Atheist Republic, no, not Atheist, Atheist Experience memberships. And then we have another super chat, $5 super chat from Darkon Prime ZD. I don't know. I'm reading everything. I'm mispronouncing everything. Okay? I'm not sorry.
That was good.
Oh, so this one is actually. Actually, this is interesting. I was in Afghanistan in 2010. The Taliban we had detained sure sounded a lot like the Christians from my hometown. I became an atheist there. Oh, wow. So the Taliban made you an atheist. Most people don't get to say that. That's interesting. The Taliban made me an atheist. That's pretty cool. All right. So I read an announcement. I did super chat. So that means we could get to the next call. So Saran, am I reading your name right? Saran? That's a badass name. Saran?
Yeah.
Sounds like
Saran.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi. Go ahead.
Upkeso.
Hi, Jamie. Hi, JMike.
Hey, how are you?
So recently, yeah, I'm good. Recently, I was engaged in a debate with a theist. He was Muslim and he was trying to convert me. So I told him to wait and I will study and then give some replies to you. So I was talking him like I was playing for an atheist. So he asked me a question and I couldn't find any good answers to that. So I'm here to ask you guys about that.
About
go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, my English is not so good. So
no, you're fine.
Me, that where does morality come from a perspective of an atheist? Because from a perspective of a theist like Muslim, they say that incest is wrong because Allah said it. So I can't give any answers to that, that how things are wrong and how things are right.
I think we both have a lot to say on this.
Yes.
Yeah,
first of all, the question is worded wrong. From what is the atheist answer, right? So atheists don't all have the same moral standards, right? So first of all, like my moral system that I adhere to is rule utilitarianism. So many atheists have different moral standards. Some of them have no moral standards. So this is not an atheist position. The only atheist position is a lack of belief in God, right? So first of all, that. Second thing, that before I can defend the moral system that I choose and why I think it's the best one, I could defend that.
Armin, can I add something to your rule utilitarian? Because I'm so glad that you said this. So I hate to interrupt you. I won't keep this long. But what you said is so important. What you said is so important. People get confused on meta ethics and normative ethics. You can have a normative ethical view like Armin, right? Has some utilitarian view or whatever. Maybe you're a threshold deontologist or whatever. That doesn't speak to your meta-ethical view. You could be like a moral realist or a moral anti-realist, or morals not objective. Morals is, I deny that morals objective, or I think morality is objective, and still hold to whatever normative theory that Armin has, right? Whether you're an anti-realist or a realist. So super important distinction, because normative ethical theories are really what we should be talking about. But I think what they want to say is they want to talk about meta ethics, like, the grand scheme of it, if is there objective morality. But I think that's a hugely important distinction that Armin makes there.
Right. And we also have the motivation, the natural desire for us to be nice to each other without even having a moral structure. The moral systems that humans introduce throughout history are ways to make them that better, make it more organized, and make them more in line with what improves well-being. But even without that system, we just have a natural desire to see each other happy. We're born with it, and we have the natural desire to avoid making our fellow human beings upset, so that we have that motivation. But even without any of this answer, like I could speak for hours for why, for example, the moral system, the moral motivation, and also the moral system that I adhere to is far superior than what they have, which is what, as you described it, a divine command theory, which I could tell you why that's the most insane and backwards moral system and the most dangerous one, the one that Muslims and Christians and Jews and Hindus adhere to, why that is so backwards and actually makes the world a much worse place. But even if I can't do that, that doesn't add any points to them. Like, let's say, for example, that no atheist could provide you with the answer for why we should be moral or how to be moral. How does that add any points to their claim of Islam or a God? So just remember that this whole conversation is taking attention away from the fact that they have no points for why you should be a Muslim. Like, even if they were right, let's say, for example, he was right. Muslims have an excuse for you to be moral, and not a single atheist in the world had a single excuse for why we should be moral. Even in that world, which we do not live in that world, but even in that world, that does not make Islam any more true. So just remember that, hey, stop changing the conversation. You're a Muslim. You're trying to convert me to Islam. You have to tell me why Islam is true. Stop telling me what do atheists have for morality. You're supposed to prove to me that Islam is true. So just acknowledge that this is a change of subject. But then if you want to go to why atheists can be moral, in fact, they are in a better position to be moral than religious people, then we could compare moral systems and show why the ones like, for example, not we atheists, because I don't speak on behalf of atheists, I speak on behalf of myself, and I try to do a good job at speaking on behalf of people who believe in rule utilitarianism, right? And if we want to get into that conversation, then I could easily show why our moral standards is far superior than anyone else, not just the divine command theory people, which they're just in the back of the line. They're the worst. But we are also better than deontologists. We are better than virtue ethicists, and all of these people are better than divine command theorists. But divine command theorist basically means God says so, so it's true. Like, by the way, you could ask the person that told you that. So you should have asked him the two questions, right? So he said that, well, God says that incest is wrong. That's why we think incest is wrong. You atheists don't have that. You should have asked him two questions. Would incest be good if God said incest is good? Would that make it good then? That you should have asked him that question. And also ask him this. Is the only reason why you're not fucking your sister is that because God says so? Would you have done so? Would you have had sex with your mom? Would you have raped your mom if God did not tell you not to rape your mom? Ask him that question. Because if the answer is yes, that's the only thing, the only reason that he's not doing it, then that's a very dangerous person. Tell him that, okay, you have problems, right? But if he says, no, I would still not have raped my mom without Islam. If there was no God, I would still have not raped my mom. Then say, well, checkmate, I win. Exactly, that's my point. Okay, so you have other sources, other reasons why you have standards other than Islam.
Okay, that's great. So my last question is, how do I tackle cause and effect question? If he tells me that there is always a cause for an effect, so if we backtrace everything in this universe, we'll have to go to a first mover who started this.
No, we're not doing cause and effect stuff because I'm going to do one question per caller. I see the question.
Armin, I'll answer it. It's fine. I want to answer this.
Okay, you go ahead. I saw JMike. You take this one.
Like 1 or 2 minutes.
Sorry?
If you can answer that in 1 or 2 minutes, that would be great.
Yeah, you're just asking like about like I just want to make sure I understand like the first premise of the Kalam, essentially. Everything that begins to exist has a cause.
Yes.
I can give you a perspective. I don't know that this is going to resonate with you because this has to do with my view. So when people present the first premise of the Kalam to me, it just assumes the falsity of my view. Right? I'm not going to buy into that first premise. First off, they're going to have to give a supplementary argument or a subsidiary argument to motivate that premise, and take that first premise, make it a conclusion, a new argument, give me new premises to accept it that lead me to that conclusion. That almost never happens. William Lane Craig does this. Like, he has extra arguments for it. I think they fail, but he actually does the task of giving additional arguments to support the premises, which is nice. You don't see that often. But from my view, the initial state of the universe, at least the view that I'm most sympathetic towards, I'm sympathetic towards an infinite past, but the one that I want to talk with theists about, because this is the most playing ground that we have together, is that I'm happy to agree that there's the beginning of the universe. So I'm happy to concede premise 2 of the Kalam. I'm not happy to concede premise 1 because the initial state of the universe, that's t = 0 or t = 1, however you want to demarcate that. It doesn't come from anything. It doesn't come from a God. It doesn't come from a void of nothingness, right? It's necessary. When we ask the question, why is there this initial state rather than no initial state? Well, the answer to that is because there had to have been something, right? There couldn't have been nothing, essentially, under my view. And this is not contestable from a theist, because a theist that answers the question the same way. Why is there something rather than nothing? Because God exists and he's necessary. Right, so we both place this aspect of necessity, where a way to look at this is no matter how the world could have been, it's going to start with this initial state. Right, now in that view, there's a beginning. T = 0 is the beginning. That's the beginning of natural reality, but it doesn't have a cause. It doesn't come from anything. Right? Necessities don't require causes. Metaphysical necessities don't require causes. This is why a theist will tell you God wasn't caused by anything. So they can't make this type of contentious move on that. So for me, from my view, there's several ways you can attack this, but this just straightforwardly assumes the falsity of my view. And I have a different causal principle. My causal principle is not everything that begins to exist as a cause. It's everything that's not the initial state that begins to exist as a cause. So when they use examples like, root beer doesn't pop into existence, or this table began to exist, yeah, I agree with you. All of this contingent stuff downstream from the initial state that has a beginning will require some type of cause. But that initial state doesn't, because there isn't anything to cause it. It's just metaphysically necessary that it exists, right? And so I don't think that many theists are used to that type of response. But if you read, if you want to read, there's a really awesome philosopher named Graham Oppy, and he goes over a lot of different kind of perspectives that a naturalist can take on this. So I hope that helps.
Okay, I get it. So thank you, Jamie. Thanks, JMike.
Yeah.
Thanks for the help.
Yeah,
of course.
I'll try to gather more information after I view much of your channel, and then we'll talk later.
Sure. And I just want to give one tip. Like, if you're getting a theist that's just asking you questions constantly, how do you do this? How do you do that? That's like, I feel so many people die on the hill for positions, but if they're trying to say that like only God can ground this thing, or like you can't have morals without God, you should take the route of, okay, that's interesting. Support that. And then you'll notice what they'll do is, instead of supporting it, they'll go right back to what you think. Right. But think about how much of a dog shit argument it is that their argument on why God grounds, X, Y, or Z, or how he establishes morals or whatever. Think about how dog shit of an argument it is if it depends on answers that I give you in a question. Right. It's just, if an argument depends on what JMike thinks in order to prove God, that sounds like a really dog shit theistic argument to me. So I would just notice that, like, the pattern when we talk to a lot of theists is they want to inquire about your view instead of actually substantiating the claim to begin with. And it would just feel really weird that I have something to do with, you didn't meet me before this conversation. Why do I have anything to do with, your reasons? So.
Yeah, Islam is true because you don't have the answers.
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, it's so weird, man. But people seriously believe that. Like, they seriously think that they did some work there. It's like, maybe you destroyed my view. Maybe I haven't had that happen yet. Maybe you destroyed my view, but you have all of your work left ahead of you. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's like saying I am a great person. Like, okay, Armin, why are you a great person? Why are you such a great person? Well, because JMike is a horrible person.
Yeah, yeah.
What? How does that connect? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna let you go. That was a callback again. All right. Let me do another announcement. Actually, this is not an announcement. This is a request. This is a demand, actually, not a request. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Well, I shouldn't. No, I'm not even saying please. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, enable the notifications, and comment below on your favorite color. Yes, do all of those things. You know why? Because it's free and you help support the channel. Why wouldn't you do that? It doesn't cost you anything, and this channel grows because of it. You're watching this channel, so that means that you think it's doing something good. So you could support it without spending a single cent. So just do that. Just like the stream. It's the least you could do.
My channel has support, therefore your channel doesn't have support. Sorry, I had to use the really bad inference.
Okay, let's go to super chats before we go to the next call, because we have a lot of them. Daniel, member for 1 month with a $5 super chat, saying, can Armin please talk about nikah halala again? Oh, for those who don't know. All right, so I'm just going to give the quick version, okay? If you divorce your wife 3 times, divorce her, marry her, divorce her, marry her, divorce her, marry her in Islam. If you want to remarry her a 4th time, you have to find somebody to fuck your wife before you can marry her a 4th time. Somebody has to marry your wife, have sex with your wife, and then you could also, that's the only way that you could marry her again. So if you triple talaq somebody, if you triple talaq your wife, women can't do this to men. Men can only do this to women. It seems like you're not taking religion very seriously. So the only way that you can go back to marriage is for her to go marry somebody, have sex with her, consummate the marriage, and that's the only way that you could now marry her again. JMike, am I making you uncomfortable with this?
I lost 30,000 followers on TikTok when before doing the Atheist experience, when I was trying to make videos on TikTok and stuff during COVID, and I got banned from doing one video on Islam. And you just bring up so much stuff all the time where I just want to rush out and make a video or whatever and be like, you have to understand. But then I just know it's inevitably going to come. And but anyway, I'm targeted for some reason. I don't know why, but Armin, I have so much respect for what you do there. So educate the people.
I appreciate it.
Because I can't, apparently. I get demonetized and taken off TikTok. So
TikTok is very sensitive about these things.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
That's just crazy. So that's crazy, dude. That's so insane. I'm sorry. My brain's processing a lot. It's just what the fuck?
Actually, the defense for... No, you know what? As a Muslim, I would say, no, you don't understand. This actually shows how much Islam values family and marriage.
Oh, my God. Shut the fuck up.
It's teaching men that don't just willy-nilly divorce your wife. That's what it's teaching. So that's the defense for it.
Oh, my God. I'm glad you're the Armin of today and didn't turn into a different type of Armin with those types of beliefs. Whew, okay.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh. All right. So we have another super chat by Quantum Answer, member for 2 years, 200 Czech kronas. Yes. I think that's a lot of money. You guys are rich now. I would say it is. I would say it differently. I think something I said, this person wants to say it differently. I think this is about morality. How is it possible that you are asking us about your moral system while holding position, I think a position, that your moral system is better? Don't you need to know ours well first to make that judgment? Damn, right, yeah. So how are you so sure that yours is better when you haven't done your homework about what we believe in? Okay, that's a good point. I'm going to use that. Maybe you're right. Yeah. Samuel with 100 Swedish coronas. I think that's an A at the end, not an R. I'm not sure. Yes. So this one says, this super chat says, so many horrible things God does not explicitly say when we shouldn't do, and yet we don't do those horrible things. Actually, that's a good point. Even religious people, you know what? When people make these arguments about morality, I think like they're being insulting to religious people. You know, they're saying basically, I feel like as an atheist, I have to come and defend religious people. Because what religious people are telling me are like Muslims and Christians are not murdering, raping, and stealing and committing incest just because God says so. I'm like, why are you being so insulting to religious people? I give religious people more credit. I think religious people, most of them, wouldn't do those things without God telling them. So who is anti-religious person? Me or you who are saying this is an insult? I think religious people should be offended by these arguments. Anyway, I think that was the end of the super chats. Yes, it was. So let's go to the next caller. Let's go to the Daisy. So let me bring Daisy up. Daisy, you're up. Go ahead.
Hi, JMike. So I've been deconstructing my upbringing, and I confidently identify as an atheist now. But I'm still having a hard time like reconciling my trust in science with the concept of libertarian free will. So I don't believe there's a God or an afterlife. I don't believe I have a soul, but I am like stuck on free will. It's like this like hump that I can't get over as a theistic belief.
Okay.
But it's like I still want to believe I have agency to make choices in life. So I'm hoping you can help me construct like a logical argument against it.
Against libertarian free will? Yeah. Well, I don't know if I could like give a formalization of it off the top of my head, but maybe this might help. So like the way that I think this, I mean, there's might be people that disagree with this, but think about when you make a choice, like, okay, I could have grabbed a Coke or a Pepsi or something like that. And what we want to do is we want to give, we can phrase it this way. When Mike picks up the Pepsi over the Coke, is there an explanation for that, or is there no explanation for that, which is just a dichotomy, right? It's either there's going to be some further explanation for why I pick up the Coke, or there's not going to be an explanation. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I think there is a reason.
Whoa, my kitty.
Reason.
Oh, sorry, I was hearing you. My cat just like scared the crap out of me and jumped on my lap. So this is a thing now. So I got to move my keyboard because it was on my lap. Yeah, so it seems like if you give an explanation for why, I chose A rather than B. So let's say that like we point to some antecedent facts, some prior facts, like I was, growing up in the South and we typically drink Coke over Pepsi or something, right? Whatever fact it might be. It's going to be the case that like when I give that explanation, there's going to be I'm going to be establishing an antecedent. And if we like fix that antecedent, right? This thing that's doing a lot of the explanatory work, all of those facts there, it seems odd to suggest that equally I could have chose the Pepsi. And the way that I want to motivate this is that what you need is contrastive explanations. So there's an example that's, I'll use this example. So it's probably a lot easier to digest. So imagine like me and you are in like a Play-Doh factory and we're just pumping out Play-Doh, right? Like red dough and we're in the red division of the Play-Doh factory. And
Okay.
All of a sudden, blue Play-Doh just starts popping out, right? And we're like freaking out. We don't know what to do. We go check the cameras. We check the machine. And we've concluded no one has messed with the machine. No one's put blue dye in it. Everything is the exact same. In other words, the antecedents are fixed. All the prior conditions are the exact same. And so, those are served as explaining why we get red Play-Doh. But what's your option when everything's the same and you get blue? How can you make sense of this? How can I make sense of this color popping out? Well, you have one option. There is no explanation because it's indeterministic. You can't actually explain why it was blue rather than green, rather than pink, rather than red, but there was an indeterministic event. There's not an explanation for why that color rather than the other color, but it is that color, right? Now that's the no explanation horn of it. If you're giving an explanation, those facts are going to necessitate the outcome. I'm going to get red dough every time. I'm going to make the same decision with those same facts. If you have some other antecedent there, then yes, we can give a contrastive explanation. For example, I put blue dye inside the machine. That explains, right, a different prior or antecedent that explains why the color is different. But if we don't have that available to us and we want to say that the machine spitting out blue dye with all the same inputs is a lot like the human mind where everything's the exact same, but I could choose A or B and there's no explanation, then what I'm detecting is that libertarian free will is just another word of saying indeterminism. You're just saying randomness. The fact that there's no explanation for why the blue Play-Doh pops up rather than green is exactly what seems like somebody is saying when they talk about libertarian free will. It's a brute contingency. In other words, it could be something. It's something that could be otherwise, but we have no explanation why it's that way. And that's problematic for free will because now it seems like what you're going to have to do is kind of hide libertarian free will as some type of species or genus of indeterminism. But I don't know how much that's free if I intend for X and I'm supposed to get some like random outcome. In fact, I intend for things all the time and I typically get the outcome that I intend. So it doesn't seem like the randomness is going to be favorable on like multiple levels. So it seems like we either have an explanation for why the agent did A or B, or we have no explanation. And if we have an explanation, you're just giving some determinate antecedent. All right, no room for libertarian free will there. If you're just saying that it's randomness, I don't know how you're going to argue for libertarian free will because it seems like there's an intentional collapse. There's this collapse of what you intend and then the outcome that's produced at like highly probabilistic rates. So what do you think about that? I don't know if that was too much.
Yeah, no, the Play-Doh factory is like really interesting. I'm really I want to think more about that. I guess what I'm struggling with thinking is how do I make those choices? Like my brain is this chunk of fat with electricity running through it, and I don't believe I have a soul, but like how do the choices get made? Like at what point do the
I see.
It seems like you're not making choices. It seems like things happen and then you have the illusion of making choices. That seems to be what's happening.
Well, right? it might depend because you have to define what you mean by choice here. If I'm a compatibilist, which I am, I'm not using choice in the same term usage as a libertarian.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that type of choice is just totally illusory, but I do think that there is choice. Look, if plankton came to my head and got me to go steal the Krabby Patty formula, I'm acting out of accord with what I desire, what I want. I want to protect the formula. I don't care if all these other things determine that I care about the Krabby Patty formula. I don't care about that at all. You know what I mean? It's just what I care about is whether or not my desires are being thwarted.
Let me make it. Yeah. I think we're saying the same thing. It's just what you mean by choice and what you mean by free will. That's what. Yeah.
Exactly.
But Daisy, it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like you're logically all of this is making sense to you. It just seems you have an emotional resistance to accepting it, unless I misunderstood you, and you just want help to how to emotionally Daisy, is that correct? Emotionally accept all of this, right?
There's definitely like an emotional thing going on here where, definitely.
Right. So here's let me know if this helps you emotionally or not, okay? Because I gave this example on my Persian channel to a lot of people who are convinced that a libertarian free will is not a thing, and they could not deal with that emotionally. And I told a lot of people this, and they were willing to accept it afterwards, right? I said, imagine if you are on a ship and you're just turning the wheel, and every time you turn the wheel, the ship turns exactly where you're turning it, and you're basically visiting different islands that you want to visit, and you're going into the directions that you want, and all this time you thought that the ship is going into the direction that you want, right? So you want something, and the ship aligns itself to your desires.
I like where you're going.
But all of a sudden, yes, but now one day you realize that this was all an illusion. The ship is going to the directions that it's going, and it's giving you you have this illusion that you're turning the wheel, right? So it's making you turn the wheel after the destinations are chosen. It's making you turn the wheel into the direction that it's already was going to go. But it's making you want to go to those directions. It makes you want to go to those destinations. But here's a good thing. Here's the beautiful thing about this. This is not a loss to you, because what you should care about is that the ship is going to the direction that you want. Which comes first is not that relevant, because whether you want something and the ship is going towards your want, or the ship goes towards something and then you end up wanting it, at the end of the day, what you want is in line with the direction of the ship. And what could you want? What is there else to desire? What you should care about is whether the ship is in line with your desires. Whether the direction comes first and then your desires come second, or your desires come first and the direction comes second, that alignment is what you should be concerned about. And that alignment is always going to be there. Does that make sense?
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, I appreciate that one. Thank you.
Yeah, I like that one a lot, Armin. I mean, because think about as I'm trying to track the concept of free will that I think that people are discussing when they're saying oh, that person roofied me and made me do things I didn't want to do. Right? Are we saying that there's, it was determined, and so it wasn't really this notion of what you want to do? That's bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit. There are things that I wanted to do, not be taken advantage of, right? It didn't matter that my not wanting to be taken advantage of was previously determined by biological factors. It doesn't matter that when you stick that in the drink or you do something and you try to manipulate me, that goes against what I want, regardless of whether that is causally determined or not. Right? That's a relevant notion of your desires, what you want, and failing to live up to those or having people take advantage of you in virtue of those. And so I get kind of pissy about the deterministic, I don't really debate this much, but I do see this kind of thing online where people get super yeah, everything's determined, and they get super into it or whatever. But I worry that people aren't looking into what different views of compatibilism are. Right? It's not just one view. There's several views of compatibilism. Look at Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy compatibilism. You will be overwhelmed with how many different views and arguments for the views there are. You'd be just completely overwhelmed. You'd be like, I didn't even know this existed. I just get kind of pissy that people are focused on that. Oh no, you don't have choice. You don't have this. I think the way Armin said it is very well stated that, look, let's zoom out. Let's keep the choice thing there. Keep what you want. Let's keep all this here. But hold on. Let me give you a picture, and then by the end of it, I'm going to see what you think. Does it really affect you? You're still going to jump off the ship? And I'm not convinced that when people actually start to engage in what's being said here, that they're going to hold the same view. I think that a lot of people are going to agree. And that's where it ends. That's where it ends. That's why I don't find the determinist compatibilist debate very interesting, because either you'll just peter out quickly, or maybe you'll make progress.
Well, thank you guys so much. I was really nervous to call in, but I feel like that really helped, actually. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, and I apologize. I made a really bad way of explaining all of that, but I think the best way to just kind of point it out is, what explains why the agent does A rather than B? And if someone says something like, oh, it's because they had a free choice, just realize that you're not explaining why they made that free choice rather than another free choice, and that this theory of libertarian free will doesn't have any explanatory account. In fact, it can't have one, because then you're just affirming some type of determinism.
Daisy, I actually feel that this is kind of better. Like, I feel like relieved. I'm on a ship that's taking me on a cruise, and it's just promising me that wherever it's going is going to be somewhere I like. Like, this is great.
Don't worry, I got Kelley the pirate coming for you right now, so he's gonna steer you off course.
Okay.
Sorry, that was bad inside joke. Kelley's hanging out backstage, so give love to Kelley.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna drop this call. That was a great call. Thank you so much, Daisy, for calling us. Let me go to the next call. Wow, these are some badass names. Why did it look like fantasy? Shoridon. That's like a powerful elf wizard or something. So, hi, Shoridon.
Yes.
Shoridon.
Yes. So I have been a long-time listener. I don't call very often, but I noticed, and in fairness, I watched a lot of the YouTube stuff, and sometimes that means that like things from months and years ago get into the feed.
Yeah.
So it's just a bit of an illusion. But I've noticed a lot of hosts have interacted with the idea that the Big Bang created both space and time, and while I acknowledge that is a very prominent theory, it's hardly the only one. And I think in a lot of the discussions that I saw, hosts have kind of not only gone with it, but like affirmed as a hard fact that time began. There was a lot of sort of dismissive jokes, like how and
I don't know anybody that's expressed this type of confidence. I don't really know, but maybe you're talking about me with my view, but I don't know. I don't know anyone who you're speaking of, and we can't speak for them, so I don't know what work that can do. I only go with like,
well, I think
with the updated science says. I'm not going to pretend to be a Big Bang cosmologist on this show, right? That would be really stupid.
I'm not even sure if before means anything here. Before the Big Bang, I'm not even sure if that's a meaningful thing to say.
I agree.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. Now, I agree.
Wait, hold on. If that's your point, hold on. If that's your point, then make sense of it. If that's your point, then make sense of it.
Oh, yes. So
yeah. Take verbs and divorce them from temporal notions, and then make sense of it. We're waiting.
No, that's my point. My point is that I don't know if that divorcing of temporal verbs makes sense. Because if there is, in fact, some sort of before the Big Bang, like if this is a sequence of, just as one example out of my head, if this is a sequence like the most recent universe to come into existence, and it will one day collapse and die and peter out, and then another universe will come, well, then time didn't begin. There was something else before the Big Bang. There's whatever it is, we don't know, but
I still don't know that the relevant notion of before there makes any sense. I don't think
time can have. I'm not sure even if time could have it before. I don't even think like based on my understanding, Jim, you can correct me. It seems like our understanding of the linear nature of time is on a human-centric perspective, which might not even reflect reality. Like, is that based on? I mean, this is all like a whole world outside of. Our understanding of how, like the way you're talking about all of this, it seems like very Newtonian, like before, after, like present, past, and future. This is a very human. Yeah. Our brains were designed for a Newtonian world, and this is not a Newtonian world.
Yeah, I'm an eternalist, so my view is a little. I don't know what your view is, but I'm an eternalist, so I think all moments of time equally exist.
My point is.
Yeah.
So my point is that even now, even though I specifically said that I'm not accepting as a definitive truth that time began with the Big Bang, you're still insisting that before the Big Bang doesn't make sense. When if you grant me that time didn't begin with the Big Bang but started before, never even.
No. This is super easy. Hold on. Shoridon, this is super easy. This is super easy to show why it doesn't make sense. Do you think it's bivalent? Do you think the statement before time like, do you think that's bivalent, that it could be true or false? Because the point is, it's not even clear that it's propositional. Like, yes, you're using words. Like, I can say town up fart boogeyman, right? And I can even throw like articles and stuff to make it like a coherent sentence that looks like it's propositional, looks like it could be true or false. That's what I mean by bivalent, right? That it could be true or false. When you hear those statements, do you think that has it's even propositional? It doesn't even appear to be propositional. That's the point I'm making. Like, it's not even something that bears the property of being true or false, potentially. It's just like gibberish. So you're going to have to help me out. If I hear these term usages, if I hear the term usage and it's not clear to me that's propositional, it could be totally failure on my part. But you have to help me. You can't just do this thing where it's like, yeah, but we don't know, and it could be the case, and like, I don't know why people are so confident. That's like, it seems like that's all you've really said. Right, but like, if that's where we're at, dude, I promise you, Shoridon, we're not going to get anywhere. I promise you, because I'm just going to still hold the view that it's not clear to me that it's propositional, unless you show to me that it's propositional, that it has the property of being true or false.
I'm not sure you understand my argument. And
why don't you repeat it?
Rude way. I mean, you keep insisting that I'm referring to a beginning of time and before the beginning of time. I'm saying I don't think that the Big Bang is the beginning of time. So when I refer to before the Big Bang, in that if it turns out that the Big Bang is not the beginning of time, then
my critique is on what you were saying about the hosts. My critique is on what you're saying about the hosts. You keep saying there's people are confident about this, that, and that, and then we're saying we're not clear if it's propositional. And all I'm trying to get you to do is that if it is the case that it's clearly propositional, like saying the sky is blue, but no one is going to contest that's propositional, that has the property of being true or false. If you can't give me that, like, and then you're weirded out by us not even understanding if it's propositional, I don't really know what to tell you. It's like, we hear this, it doesn't seem propositional to us. Maybe you can help us. If not, I don't know what we're talking about, right? Because you seem to think that maybe I am getting you wrong, but you seem to think that we're kind of closing the book too early. Am I right?
Only for the purposes of specific arguments, like when I think I've probably the person I've seen this happen the most. And I'm not saying that this is necessarily his overall position, merely that it's something that I've noticed for the sake of specific arguments, it has come up and it's just kind of been steamrolled over. So I'm not, I don't know his.
I'd be happy for it to be propositional if someone can just show it to me, right? I've never had any problem with language and going, that's a proposition, that's a proposition, that's a proposition, that's a proposition. Those can be true, those can be false, those can be true, those can be false. No problem with that. Unless I talk to people and they start gibberating about theism, then I'm like, I don't even know if your view is propositional. And that's what this sounds like. Another one of those things where I don't even know if what you're expressing like refers to anything, like how it even has a referent or could have a referent.
I'm not actually. I didn't use the word propositional, and I'm not used to using it, so maybe I'm misunderstanding what your complaint is when you...
If it's not propositional, it can't be true or false, and it's not something worth discussing, because it's the same thing as just saying gibberish, right? Things that are true, scientific theories, they're propositional. They can be true or false, right? That's important. It's not like close the door, which is not propositional. That's just like a command.
All right. So what's clear is none of the hosts here have made any definite claims. In fact, we have said that this is an area which we don't know what the hell's going on, and we're just showing more certain. Like we're just saying like we don't know how. Is not only we don't know. I'm saying there are many things that we can't. Like the human brain cannot even comprehend here. Like this is why we use math in explaining these things rather than just having an understanding. So given that that's my position, and also JMike doesn't seem to be making the claims that you'd be making, you seem to be talking about other hosts who are not here. So maybe you want to call in when they are on air? Because I don't know what you're referring to anymore. Right?
Yeah, like maybe you have something there. Just we just can't help you.
I guess I would just caution against, because I do think it's probably more a case of people getting into the argument and just granting something that I don't think that maybe they wouldn't have granted in a more formal setting, but in the heat of the argument, they just seem to grant it, and it's like, I don't think that's something that should be granted. Because my understanding is there's at least two major cosmological theories about potential before the Big Bangs that do make predictions that probably aren't going to be testable within the next couple of years, but like could potentially be tested. In a couple of decades.
I don't know anyone
So
serious in this field talking about before the Big Bang. Like everything I've seen, they think like I haven't seen anybody. JMike, have you seen anybody?
No, I don't. I'm at a loss. The best I could think of was my view that when I say that the initial state starts at t equals 0 and there's nothing before that or whatever. Like all I'm doing there is I'm comparing views and assessing what view I think wins out on commitments versus explanatory power, right? We just run it through this filter because I don't buy into like metaphysics like a lot of philosophers do. I don't think it's like a progressive project. I think the best we can do is treating them like how we treat scientific hypotheses. Oh, you have more postulates, but you get the exact same explanatory account. Well, we don't need those 3 extra postulates, right? Like that's what I'm interested in that project. But upon like analysis on this, when people give a view and they go, well, my view has a before the Big Bang, like we have to first see if that view is like internally consistent before I could even compare it to my view, because it's not even clear that view is something that could be true or false, right? It's like, it just seems like a weird use of language that's seemingly doing more than it's actually doing.
Okay, I think we should move on. No, we should move on. Thank you. Okay, let me. So,
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at him. It's just the way that you said that was just like, whoa, okay, you're moving on quick, Armin. You're moving on. He said, I'm done.
Yeah. By the way, do you want to? So I know you have a hard stop. Do you want Kelley to come right now? Because he said that he can take over for you if you want. If you have a hard stop. Or should I take your calls?
Yeah, I'll swap Kelley in here and give Kelley some love. For the audience sake, I've eaten nothing today because I just have been in a pretty horrible, sick weirdness. So this show, it's funny though how like I felt so crappy. I do the show and like my brain, everything forgot about it. Like I was in perfect bliss during the show. Kelley's nodding. I think he's in a very similar situation as me today. So we'll get Kelley's redemption here. But yeah, no, thank you, Armin. I appreciate you having me, and I guess this is a new thing that I drop out and try to get the calls in. But we do have a bunch of, so everyone knows, we do have a lot of calls that have come in. So we want to try to, for the audience, to get through them. So I'm trying to suggest that I don't want to end the show for everybody and just have all those callers hang up. So hopefully we can give you a little bit more time this way. So apologies, but this gives you a little bit extra time.
No, that's very generous, and thank you. And I this was a lot of fun. I enjoy hosting with you. So
of course.
You.
All right,
and thank you for letting me replace you. So,
Kelley is a really good friend of mine. Treat him good, Armin. Okay, I'll be watching you.
No promises. All right. We'll see how it goes. Okay.
See y'all.
All right, bye. Get some rest.
That I will be doing.
Yes. All right. Wait.
I replaced you.
So we're still at Trinity. We're still at Trinity.
I see what happened.
Remove that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let me do some announcements before we take a call. Okay.
Sure.
But hey, Kelley, is this the first time me and you are hosting?
It is, together? And I'm excited because you're one of my favorite hosts, and I'm so psyched right now. This is freaking awesome to me.
Wow, this is amazing. Actually, because I spend so much time with you before the show that I didn't notice this is the first time we're actually hosting together. Well,
it sure is.
Such an honor. Yeah. All right. So
it's an honor for me. Trust me.
Oh, thank you. That's sweet. All right. So, okay. If you're in the Austin area, follow us on Meetup to keep up with the community events. Yes. I read that very badly, but you get it. You can see what's going on at tiny.cc/ACA meetup. So we have I think these are some of the event names. Philosophy Under the Stars. Oh, I like that. I wish I could attend that. Game nights and more. Oh, that sounds actually very good. Yeah, guys, go check that out. Seems like some fun meetups. If you're feeling alone or need to find new friends, these seem like great ideas. Let me do some super chats next. All right, so we have a super chat from David, $2 Canadian, the best kind of dollars, saying Pepsi objectively tastes better. Do you agree with that, Kelley?
They taste differently, and I can appreciate both for the flavors that they have. I think Pepsi's syrupier and sweeter, but and Coke has more carbonation in it.
Okay. Well, I didn't expect that level of detail, but thank you. I was not expecting that, but thank you. Okay, you know your stuff. Miranda, 6-month member, $5 super chat, 5 American, which is the inferior dollar. It doesn't say it. It just puts a dollar sign as if it's a given. This is very unfair, by the way. When it's a Canadian dollar, it says that it's a Canadian dollar, but when it's a US dollar, it just puts the dollar sign. It doesn't say USD, as if the default dollar is the US dollar. This is like American centrism. Okay, so Miranda super chat saying, there is no Big Bang, only the great universe farting turtle. I take all of that back. The US dollar is the superior dollar. That's fantastic. Yes, Miranda is correct. There is no Big Bang. The great yes, the only thing what started the universe is the great universe farting turtle. Time began with the big fart. I love this. The big fart. By the way, for people who don't know, the big farting turtle is now turning into a serious religion. So let's make it happen, okay? Put the emojis in the live chat with a turtle and a farting symbol, or just turtles, okay? So let's make this a thing, okay? The universe started with the big fart. Okay, so another super chat by Daniel with a $2 super chat saying, Kelley always have the best ties. Yes, you do. What is this one?
Thank you.
Show us. Oh,
it's kind of like it's cool. I couldn't decide on stripes or paisleys today, so I picked something with both.
Nice. I like it. All right. And another super chat from Steven saying, top quality show. Great host. Cheers. Well, thank you. That's very nice.
And I just got here. What a great compliment for me.
Yeah. Well, now we'll make you earn it. Okay. So we'll see. Okay. All right. I'm just kidding. All right. Let's go to, I know this guy. Reincarnation Entertainment. So let's bring this guy up from the UK. Hi.
Hello, Armin. Hi, how are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, no, I'm good. And hi, Kelley, as well. So there's 3 things I wanted to talk about, if I have the time. So, Armin, you already know about the omniscience logical contradiction. I was wondering, Kelley, do you know about it? Do you know you can disprove Islam and Christianity with certainty? If they say God has foreknowledge and free will.
I don't really ever try to disprove somebody else's beliefs. I just try to convince them to think about convince them to think about it for themselves. So it's something, I mean, it's cool. I haven't heard of it because I haven't looked for it, because it's not something that I try to do with theists. I just try to get theists to open up their minds a little bit and think about their own beliefs. I'm not trying to deconvert them or anything, or prove that they're wrong.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So
the second question was, yeah.
No, I don't know if did you want to explain it to? Okay, so let me just quickly say that if God is all knowing and all knowing includes the future, then God cannot be all powerful. So all knowing and all powerful contradict each other, because if God is all knowing, that limits its options in the future. So not only God is not all powerful, God will be would have zero power. So basically, a triomni God. No, let me. A triomni God is a Hold on, wait a second. A triomni God is a self-contradictory God, and that's why with the triomni God, we could actually make a positive claim that God doesn't exist. But yeah. So just wanted to tell people what this is all about.
I was just thinking that, like in the Avengers movie with Doctor Strange, when he looked at all the different paths to the future, wouldn't a God that knew everything know all the paths, so he would be able to take the what and still have that power?
No, because he also would know which path he would take, so that would limit him.
No, but yes, okay, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so next, just destroyed the God of Abraham right here in 5 seconds, guys. The God of Abraham just annihilated right on this show. with a 5-second argument. But go.
Yeah, so I would argue that, that's true, Armin. I would argue that if God knows he creates Adam, he's forced to create Adam. And if he has free will, he's not forced to create Adam. So there's a sort of A and not A. There's an A and not A in the argument there. So that's true. You know, a God with foreknowledge and free will is impossible. And also, God can't give free will to humans if he has foreknowledge. So yeah, but we can explain that later. I mean, then my second question is morality objective under atheism because of empathy?
There's no claim that you can make under atheism. There's other than a lack of belief in God. There's like more. It makes no sense to say ask any questions and then say other than a belief or a lack of belief in God. Anything else that you ask and then say under atheism, it's an irrelevant question. Because atheism has no position over morality. And right? This is different atheists have positions over morality. Atheism itself has no position over morality. Go on, Kelley.
I'm about to say that all morality systems are subjective anyway, unless everybody agrees to accept the same morality system, and then we can have an objective system. But the way we choose that system would still be subjective.
You could ask us if we believe in objective or subjective morality, not atheism. Right? You could ask us. That would be a more relevant question. Like, hey, Kelley, do you believe in objective or subjective morality? Not atheism, right? Mm-hmm. You know, that would be more.
Which I think I just answered.
Yeah, you did answer that. Okay.
Yeah. So
can I go back to the first question? Because Reincarnation Entertainment, I think you are trying to destroy Islam and Christianity and Abrahamic religion with these logical arguments. I just want to use this opportunity to share a realization that I have had for a while, that I don't think these logical arguments are going to do the trick. Because the problem with a lot of us atheists is that we have left religion because we came to the conclusion that religious claims are not a good reflection of reality. And we wanted to, my dog is knocking. Should I bring my dog? I will bring my dog. 1 second.
Yeah.
All right. And we want our, because we want our beliefs to reflect reality, we think that other people also they choose their belief. We think the utility of belief is for it to be a reflection of reality. But that's an assumption that we make for other people because we're having that ourselves. But I realize that most people, she's wondering why I'm yelling. I'm not yelling at you. You're being a good girl. Don't worry. Okay? So, but most people, they choose their belief to serve a different utility, not to explain reality for them. Most people pick their belief for two different utilities. One, it's a membership card, and two, it's an identity card. So if we want to fight religious belief, beyond just providing rational arguments for why these beliefs do not reflect reality, we need to do two other jobs on top of that. We need to provide people with alternative identity cards and alternative membership cards. That's the key to fighting religion.
That's an interesting point, Armin. I know you sort of take that point. I just think that we should also do the tactic of trying to convert them to atheism as well as doing what you're saying. Do both.
Yes, yeah, I'm not saying do not make rational arguments. That's the whole point of the show. I'm just saying it's missing a huge. We're not. It's not complete. We need to fill in a gap.
Yes. Okay, and to the second question then, do you think that morality is objective in terms of, is it a fact that murder is wrong, for instance?
Depends on what you mean by objective. When people say objective, they mean two different things, right? In my view, if by objective you mean that it's hard-coded within the fabric of the universe, then no, it's not objective, okay? It's human, right? So it's not there's nothing about in the universe that makes murder wrong, all right? But if by objective you mean that given the goals that we have, that goal being increasing well-being of humans, being more happy and having better lives, are there objectively better ways to achieve that? Then, because that's what most people mean by objective. Yes, there are objectively better ways at increasing well-being, and there are objectively worse ways. This is now a scientific question. So the goal, the fact that we want to be happy, that's just a given. That's just how it is. But given that goal, we could the question of what is the best way to get there, that is a scientific question now, and it has objective answers. Now she wants to go out. Okay. Yeah.
Well, yes. Well, I think that empathy certainly exists, and it forces me to do good things to an extent, unless I get too scared. And that's what
No, do you understand what I said? Like, what depends on what you mean by objective. Do you understand that the answer is the way to be moral? The answer to that, if your goal is to maximize well-being, there is an objectively right answer to that and an objectively wrong answer to that. So when people are asking about objective, depends on which one of these questions they're asking. Are they saying that outside of the human understanding of the universe, does the universe itself has a position regarding morality? If that's what they mean about objective, then no, that's obviously false. That's insane, right? But if they mean within the human understanding, within the human perspective of the world, given that humans want to be happy, are there better ways of achieving that? If that's what they mean by objective, then yes, then morality is objective.
Right. Okay. I just think it's objective within humans. When he was created, objective morality was formed in terms of it being a fact that, say, murder is wrong. Or do you understand what I'm saying? Maybe I'm misunderstanding you.
Yeah, I think you should just play back like what I said, because so murder is not always, by the way, wrong. Sometimes murder is good. As a utilitarian, I'm not going to be saying murder is wrong all the time. It depends on the consequences. Okay.
Okay, and the third thing I want to ask, if I have time, is that about what happens after you die. Could it be that reincarnation or resurrection are possible? If the mind is an indestructible string of energy, or is it possible that we could get reincarnated or resurrected by scientists if the mind isn't destructible?
Is it why do you think the mind is indestructible energy in its current form? I mean, I know energy isn't destructible, but it does change forms, right?
Yes, it does.
So the electrical energy of our brain would be like transferred to the dirt and then be used by plants to grow.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, no, that is an interesting way of putting it.
That's exactly what happens. That's how the energy changes form. That's exactly what happens. The energy from our brain just doesn't go off into the ether and remain there. It gets transferred to another life form.
But are we sure? I don't know about this. Are we sure that energy can't be indestructible in the and maybe does it have to change when it comes to the energy?
What makes you is not the energy in your body. What makes you is the form that energy takes. Okay. So, for example, in the same way that the content of the book, if I take the ink from a book and just give you the ink that I used to write that book, and somehow just gather all get the paper and wash it and gather all the ink and just give it to you in a container, right? I don't have the content of that book anymore, because the ink did not create the story in that book. The way that the ink was formed next to each other, the pattern in that of the ink next to each other on that paper created the story on the book. So in the same way, what makes you you, what we refer to as you, is not the energy, because if that's what makes you you, then the lamp should also have an identity. The stove should also have life. So energy is not life. What we refer to as life is a specific arrangement of matter and energy. And if that arrangement is gone, then you're no longer there.
That was beautiful, Armin.
Oh, thank you.
That's very well explained. Thank you. Thank you, Armin. And thank you, Kelley, as well. Yeah, no, so I don't really know how to respond to that other than to say, just ask again, like, so yeah, no, okay, that's fair enough. I need to rewatch the video, I guess, to get that. Because I was trying to form an alternative hypothesis or idea to there being non-existence. It's possible that scientists could resurrect us, or that we could be reincarnated somehow. But maybe I have to rethink that.
If you could figure out a way to reconstruct the way that your neurons are connected with each other and every other information that needs to be preserved, right? Then maybe you could recreate your whatever was you. But again, at that point, you don't, the whole idea of me is an illusion as well, because whatever I want to refer to as me is dying every single minute. So we don't. That's another discussion whether or not when we refer to as resurrecting me. I'm not even sure if it could resurrect me. I'm not even sure if there is a me, right? I know that there is observing entity that is feeling and experiencing things, but there's nothing consistent there that could be consistently be referred to as me. So you might be trying to preserve something that doesn't even exist. But that's a different discussion.
Okay, right. So what do you think happens after you die?
Many things. I'm just not there to see it anymore. What do you mean? Like, many things happens after I die. But it happens without me. It happens without me witnessing it. Like, so many things happen after you die.
What do you experience?
What do I experience? How could I experience things? I'm dead. That's the meaning of dying, when you stop experiencing things as, something with an identity that could refer to itself as me. When that thing ends up stop experiencing, that's death. So you're saying, after the process of experiencing is stopped, what are you experiencing? Well, by definition, nothing.
Okay, but I hope it's not something bad. I hope we're not wrong, and it's not something bad that happens after we die, like nature's eternal hell. So we have to find a way of getting out of that, if that's possible. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I have no idea what you're saying. Kelley seems to understand what you're saying. What did you say? Can you explain again?
Yeah, go ahead and do it again.
So could it be that there's nature's eternal hell after we die as a possibility, and there's no way of escaping it? So it's something bad.
Who? For me?
That's what I'm scared of.
For me that died?
I mean,
if I'm dead, I'm no longer there. How could there be a hell for something that is not there to experience things? Go on, Kelley.
I was about to say anything is possible, right? I mean, that's one of the concepts we believe in. But like Armin just pointed out, it kind of seems like a logical impossibility, what you're bringing up. So when you say, how do we, maybe it's possible. Well, yeah, sure. But what's the astronomical odds of that being possible? It's to the point of complete improbability, and it's never going to happen.
Actually, this one is not even possible, because even when religious people want to say that you experience something after death, they say that you come back to life. So they don't say that you experience something when you're dead. So the very definition of dead will make you not be able to experience things. So I don't know what this is a contradiction. So I don't know. I think we are already exercised this enough. So no, you're not going to, it's impossible to experience things after you're dead, because for you to experience things, you first have to be able to experience them. Very simple. Okay?
Okay, guys. Well, I hope you're right, Armin. I always get scared of that, it's something bad. But okay, sure. All right, thanks, guys. Right. Thanks so much. You're both brilliant. Big fans of both of yours. So, talk to you later.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Let's do some announcements and then a super chat or two, and then we go to the next call. And maybe that will be the last call. Yes, or not. We'll see. Join our weekly watch parties at Free Thought Library on Sundays for live viewing on Talk Heathen and the Atheist Experience every Sunday. Doors open at noon. It's a great place for building community. Yes, exactly what I was referring to when I said we need to. We can't. This is this is what we're doing right here. This is what the atheist community of Austin is doing right, because it's not just about providing the logical reasons for why it makes no sense to believe in religion. You also have to give people something that works as identity and also community, a sense of belonging. So yeah, exactly to my point right there. All right,
it's fun to hang out there on a Sunday too. I've done it in the past. I actually sent a couple people over there from Discord this morning, and I hope they're there having a good time. If you are, thanks for being there.
Yes. Wait, did I read this already? Because somebody's complimenting your ties in the super chat.
I think all the super chats were read. I really do.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, because I don't see a line cutting it. So, okay, so let's go to the next call.
I don't either, but I think we covered them all.
Okay, good. All right, let's go to Darius. Great name. Let me bring Darius up. Hi, Darius. Go on.
Hello. It's really nice to meet you, JMike, and is it Armin?
Yeah, but I'm not JMike.
Kelley.
You missed JMike. He left, and I took his place. I'm Kelley.
Yes.
Oh, hi, Kelley.
Hi.
Sorry. I think
no, that's okay. Don't be sorry.
I remember that happened. Yeah, I remember that happened. So, yeah, definitely want to say, I'm atheist here in Sacramento, California. And I've been atheist for about 4 years, as far as I can say, 4 or 5 years.
Congrats.
And I just wanted, it was, it was a lot of, actually it was a pretty easy transition compared to like some that are just like, oh, everything around me is collapsing with all the evidence and data that would support there is no way to prove God exists and stuff like that.
So how has that affected your life?
That was going to be my question.
Oh, I stole it from you.
Wow.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Go for it. Yeah, how is it, Darius? How has it affected you?
Oh, well, I mean, as far as everything goes, it's been an easy transition. The only thing I was kind of worried about, if anything, was just like how my family would react to it, because they're very heavily religious. I actually called to you guys before, wasn't the same host though, and it was about my great grandmother who recently passed. She was, I think she was Catholic, might have been Christian, one of the two. But she passed on. I went to the funeral pretty much just like I kind of know the truth. And all that funeral kind of left me with was just a little bitterness, mainly on the priest's account, because his whole shtick was like, you gotta pray for her so that she can make her way to the heavens and stuff. Because if she doesn't get these prayers, then she doesn't go to heaven. I'm like, well, that's a very bullshit thing to say to somebody. Like,
so overall, by the way, we need to. Can you just tell me overall, do you feel happier, the same? Overall, has you seen any difference, or did nothing change? Like, what do you like overall? What do you see? Like a slight change, better, or slight change for the worse? From like, what do we see? What the average, effect has been? Has there been there been any positive effect or negative effects at all?
Yeah, overall it has been good. I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No.
I just didn't catch it. That's what you didn't interrupt me at all. But I just didn't catch what you said. Okay, so you overall has been good.
Gotcha. Yes, overall it has been good.
That's good.
And even recently, I did tell my family about my atheism, and they have been very accepting of it. So
that's
very nice. That's good. That's encouraging.
I mean, I have like maybe a few religious folk that are a little bit just like, well, I don't know how I feel about you not believing in God anymore and stuff. Or in some of my other family's cases, Native American spiritualism, which, I get that as well too. But it's just like they've come to respect it. They've come to understand, okay, we don't see eye to eye on that concept.
That seems like more of a their problem than a you problem.
Which is probably what they've come to understand.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this, because now, let me actually tell you why I'm thanking you, okay? Because it might not seem that big of a deal, like for some people, like, hey, especially for people who don't get any reaction, negative or positive, like, what's the point of me coming out and telling people I'm an atheist? It might not have, a small impact on your life, or maybe it will, or maybe it won't, but you are actually an activist now. You are actually helping normalization of atheism. So even without it having an impact on your life, you're actually making a big difference in other people's life. Because if you tell people that you're an atheist, even if they brush it off and like, okay, fine, you're an atheist, the fact is that they're now aware that more atheists are in society. And if more people are more aware that there are more atheists in society, it's harder to look down upon atheists. It's harder to discriminate against atheists. It's harder to ostracize and demonize atheists. And many atheists who are having a much harder life because of their atheism, you're actually helping them coming out of that situation, and the atheists after them to have less experiences like that, because you help normalize them. So thank you. This is exactly what happened with the LGBTQ movement, because it became normalized as more people came out. So even if you think it's not that big of a deal for you, just realize if you come out and tell people that you're an atheist, it might actually end up being a huge deal for other atheists, not just in your country, but all around the world.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, no,
that is so true,
thing.
because we do need to put ourselves out there and let people know we exist, right? We have probably here in the United States, of all the minority groups, we have the lowest representation in Congress. We really, really need to get it together and let people know that we are a community here, and we're a rather large community. So yeah, thank you so much and being out there and letting people know who you are. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right.
I did also have just like one minor little question as well along with that. What's
Ask
your
it quick because we're over
on...
time. And I'm going to do some super chats and some announcements as well.
Yeah. Gotcha. Just had like a random outside question in which it can be a simple no, I don't believe, or yes, I don't. What's your stance on intelligent life? Do you think it exists out there in the universe? I kind of think it does, just because on the concept, well, if we're here, maybe there's something else out there. But I don't have a way to prove that.
Kelley, you want to go first?
I was just thinking chances are. I don't want to say that, yes, I believe that for sure, but chances are. I'm still out on it, but it would be almost astronomical that if there wasn't some out there somewhere. But I'm the kind of guy, I need unambiguous empirical truth proof before I'm going to believe something. So I'm not going to believe there's intelligent aliens out there until I see an intelligent alien. But I believe the possibility is very, very high that they're there, if that helps any.
Yeah.
And also, it's actually a very easy answer for me, because I've been told by experts that it's statistically likely. So I'm just going to go with that. That's easy.
Okay. Yeah. No, it was really.
However, I don't think that there's any chance for them to have visited us or we have any contacts. That seems impossible. Like it seems likely for there to be intelligent life somewhere else, but it seems close to impossible for us to have had any contact with them.
And I did want to also specify in the context as well with if the said God exists, using the Christian God. if the Christian God was somehow did prove to exist, I'd probably be in the same seat as Forrest Valkai and be anti-theist, because I don't think that God is worth your worship.
Yeah, I will go with self-preservation, a God that could. I mean, again, a lot of atheists disagree with me. Okay, but if a God tells me to worship you, or else I will burn you forever, and he seems to be serious about that, if that's what he's saying, and he seems like he has the power, you other atheists could go virtue signal all you want about not bending the knee. I'm gonna do whatever it takes not to burn forever. Okay, you guys are better than me. Okay, wow, you're so courageous, choosing eternal hellfire, not to just bend the knee. Okay, I will choose not burning forever.
At least apparently hell would be fun. We'd be surrounded by a bunch of the coolest people, maybe.
No, if hell is fun. Okay, so that's like you're just changing that question here. If hell is fun, obviously I will go to hell. I'm assuming eternal torture.
Yeah. I think I'm on your side on this one, Armin. Honestly.
Yeah?
I don't think I'd want to do eternal torture either if it was real.
Yeah.
If eternal torture was real, then I'd be like, well, that's evil. Why'd you make it?
I still wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, but he's not gonna, like, we're assuming that he doesn't care about what you say. So why should, like, people are like, I would make an argument with that God. Yeah. Like, we're assuming that God has already made up its mind and it's not going to be moved by your silly human arguments. True. So why would I even get into an argument with that God?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If it even exists. If he even exists.
Yeah, we're just playing here. Obviously this is just fantasy world. But anyways, I'm gonna let you go. That was a fun call. Thank you for making that call. All right, so thank you. Call back again. I'm just gonna do. Oh, this was my favorite part of the announcements. We want to send a big thank you out to the crew who put this show together every week. Wow, this is a list of the things that they do: video preparations, audio operators, note takers, call screeners, chat moderators, and so many other things. Thank you so much for doing all of the things. It actually takes a lot of work. You know, we come here just talk, and a lot of people don't understand all the things that goes to make the show behind the scene to make this show possible. So thank you all. Thank you so much. This is where your donations go, guys. So this is why you need to donate and support this show financially, because it actually costs a lot to keep this show alive. And also, wait, we have super chats. We do. We have one more super chat from Marcel Jovin, I think. Yes. And he said, when Muslims die, an angel comes to them and says, sleep like a bird's sleep. Ha 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 ha. A man how to be bride. No, not a bird. A bride, sorry. Sleep like a bride's sleep. A man how to be a bride. What is the bride's sleep? I want to know, I think. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. So I think you're referring to something Muslims are told, and you're wondering how could that. If I understood your super chat correctly, you're just wondering how is that possible. I heard something else about another thing Muslims say when you die. So this is. I didn't hear this in Iran. I heard this from Sunnis later when I became an ex-Muslim. So apparently, when you die, you are. You feel a lot of torture in the grave, like your body feels a lot of weight of the earth on top of it, and you feel like a lot of hardship if you're a sinner. So some of your hardship is while you're in your grave, and there are certain dua, certain prayers that you could do for your loved ones to reduce that hardship. So that's what I've heard. Oh, Kelley, here's a fun thing. Did you know that in Islam, if you masturbate, right, two things will happen, right? First of all, your hand and your penis will testify against you. They will speak out in the afterlife, and you will try to deny it, but your lips will be sealed, and you cannot say anything, and your penis will speak instead. And you're like, yes, this man was sinning, right? And the hand will also.
So they're letting that little head think.
Yes. And also, you will impregnate your hand. according to Islam.
So
if you masturbate.
So will it give birth to little hands or little yous?
I don't know. I think little you half hands, half yous. I don't know what happens. But your hand will become pregnant. That's a way that they, try to scare little, boys from masturbating. By the way, all the stories that they told us about what will happen to us if we masturbate, they're all just about boys masturbating. I think they didn't understand that girls masturbate at all because there's little warnings to them and all the warnings for us for some reason. I don't know. Yeah, why? All right, so thank you so much for being here today, everyone. Thank you, Kelley, and also JMike, if you're watching this later. This was my first time hosting with Kelley, which is I'm so happy. This is such an honor.
It was an honor for me. Trust me. I really look up to you a lot, Armin. It was a big honor for me. So I've been kind of starstruck today. So.
Oh, come on. All right. And guys, we're going to go to Discord server right now. So come there and join us. Yeah, all of that. Yes. And don't forget to like the stream. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell notification. Don't forget to leave a comment after the stream is over. And don't forget to recommend this channel to your friends and to your enemies. Okay? Especially to your enemies. Recommend this channel. Okay? All right. Till next stream. Bye, guys. Mwah.
See you on the back cruise.
What will it take for you to start opening your eyes, to start questioning the bullshit everyone around you buys? You think it's any of your business what goes on between my thighs? I wonder when we'll be rid of your life.
Watch Talk Heathen live Sundays at 1 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTH and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callth.